All right, guys, welcome to the first episode of 315 Sports. We're an NBA and NFL podcast. Today, for our first ever episode, we're going to give you our list about the top 15 NBA players right now. The only rule we used was the players must have played 40 games minimum this season, so no Steph Curry's, Kevin Durant's will be on the list. And we'll have everyone introduce themselves and then talk about who just missed the list, and then 15 through 1. So go ahead and introduce yourself.
All right. I'm Nolan Giblin.
I'm Steve Baker. These are three of my favorite boys from high school doing a little 315 Sports podcast.
And I am Shane Wright.
Okay. I'll go ahead and start about two guys that I had just missing my top 15. I'll start with Donovan Mitchell. He definitely took a step this year. He became an all-star, first-time all-star. Has the Jazz fourth in the West and room to move up. They're pretty close with the 3 seed, the Nuggets. And the reason I don't have him at top 15 is because there's been games where he just hasn't had it and they've lost. When he does not have it, they seem to lose. They need him on in order to win games. But I feel like he's only a year or two away from being in the top 15. And then the other guy I had barely missing my list was Devin Booker. I wish his team had a little more team success. I know they improved from last season, but in what seems like a pretty weak lower portion of the West, I wish they were a little closer to the 8 seed. Right now they're in 13th. So Booker, with team success, he might move up into the top 15, but I have him just on the outside.
All right. So for the guys that just missed my list, I have a pair of 76ers and a pair of Celtics in Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons and Kemba Walker and Jaylen Brown. I think Jaylen Brown, and even after Kemba Walker retires because he's a little bit older, I think Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum are going to be like the next big 1-2 punch in the NBA. Give it 2 or 3 years. Kemba's a stud, but I just don't think he's one of the top 15 players in the NBA. And then the issue with Embiid and Simmons is that for a 76ers team that has loads of talent, they just aren't playing that well together, kind of like how the Celtics were last year. So that's why I don't have those two guys in the top 15.
Yeah, Gib. I gotta say those two Simmons and Embiid, I don't have them in my top 15 either. I just think that 76ers are completely underachieving this season.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, they're the 6th seed in the East, which they should be a lot higher in my opinion. I also don't have Kemba Walker. He's obviously having a fantastic season, but he just didn't make my list.
I agree with all those guys. I think those are good takes. Just misses for me. Not to elaborate too much, I think these are pretty straightforward. Rudy Gobert on the Jazz, great perimeter defender. Very could argue top 15, not a bad argument. I think some young guys that just missed for me that could be in the top 15 coming soon, but right now they're just right outside for me. Trae Young. I think Trae Young is having a fantastic season on a very low-skilled, low-talented, low expectations Hawks team. And but besides that, I think Zion will be in the top 15 soon, but right now I don't have him in there either. And I think one that I don't know if you guys have in your top 15s, but one that just missed for me that was probably maybe the most disappointing player, even with Embiid, is Karl-Anthony Towns. When you lose 10-plus games in a row and you're supposed to be a superstar talent, you have trouble making the playoffs without Jimmy Butler. This guy, he's been around for a while this season, just such a disappointment. You're trying to wait for him to take the next step in his career, and he hasn't done that yet. So for a talented guy like him to have the season he's had, the Timberwolves are having right now, it's disappointing. So he just missed for me. But I think, I agree with all you guys.
All right. Now we'll start with our number 15. At 15, I have Jimmy Butler. He's giving you 26-6, leading his team, who was not projected to be a top 4 seed. They're 4th in the East right now. I have him above Booker and Mitchell based on team success. Mitchell is also a 4th seed, but I feel like Jimmy has a little less to work with. Bam and Kendrick Nunn are players who stepped up to help out the team, but I think without Jimmy Butler, they'd probably be a bottom seed in the East in terms of playoff, like 7 or 8. He brings leadership, grit, and then playoff experience, and is also a great defender. He's averaging just under 2 steals per game. So I got him at 15.
Gib.
All right, so for my 15th player, I'm just going to let you know my list is just based off people I like watching play. But my 15th player is Brandon Ingram on the Pelicans. I think he's taken an absolute major leap in his player development from, I think, leaving the Lakers, just like with Lonzo, is probably the best thing that could have happened to them. Playing under like the big lights of LA or New York is hard for young guys, especially when you're constantly bad. You better win, you better win, you better produce. And as, a first or second year guy being the second overall pick with all these expectations, I mean, he scored, 15, 16 points a game as rookie in second, third year. And, everyone's freaking out because the Lakers stink because they don't have anybody around them. So I think getting to New Orleans and playing with solid vets like J.J. Redick, Derek Favors, and then the influx of young talent with him, Lonzo, Josh Hart, and Zion has really helped him in his career. And I think the future is very bright in New Orleans.
Good take.
Well, like we were saying earlier, this pick was difficult for me because a lot of people could have been put at this number 15 spot, but I have to go with Bradley Beal. And I know that might come to a surprise for some of you because the Wizards are terrible, but
Too low.
Averaging the second most points in the league right now, just behind Harden. He's averaging about 31 points, and he's just playing out of his mind night in and night out. So I have to give him the number 15 spot.
I like Bradley Beal too, but he'll be somewhere else on my list. Right now I got Devin Booker at 15, high volume player, absolute stud. If he isn't on a team called the Phoenix Suns, he would probably be in a lot more people's top 10s. This guy is not that far away from being a Damian Lillard type guard player. He's that one step away. Good defensive player, high efficiency, high volume. Can give anybody in the league buckets. He's just on a bad organization overall for the last 10 years, and that's not his fault. So he was an easy 15 pick for me.
Yeah, we'll reflect for Brandon Ingram. I actually didn't have him on my list. When thinking about it, I knew he was in the top 20. I guess if I were to expand more on who just missed, I would put Brandon Ingram, but he did not make my list. And then, I got Bradley higher, and then Booker just missed. So now we'll move on to 14. I have Joel Embiid. Obviously not the season we expected him to have or the Sixers to have. I still have him as the second best center in the league, averaging 23, 12, and 3. I'd love to see him average like 2 blocks a game. Right now he's only at 1.3. He's had hot games this season where he's dropped 36 and 13, 38 and 13, 49 and 14, but then he also had games where he had 10 points, 14 points, and he had a game versus the Raptors where he played 32 minutes and had 0 points, no blocks, no steals. So out of him, I just want more consistency before I move him ahead of the guys ahead of him on this list. But yeah, I got him at 14.
Just reflecting on Joel Embiid at 14. I remember last year personally for me, I thought he was a top 10 player in the NBA.
Yeah,
I thought he was the most dominant big man at one point with AD and stuff. But this year, when you got a team that at one point was projected to win the East by some ESPN expert talking about Al Horford signing and going there, when you have a team that's projected to win the East and they're the 6th seed, with multiple former All-Stars on that team, Embiid's a great player, but I couldn't even put him in my list. Just I don't see how that is. He could fall. I think 14 is not a bad spot for him, but I just think Embiid this season was the biggest disappointment out of any player healthy. That's just me.
Yeah,
I agree with that. But for my 14th pick, I have Bradley Beal. Pretty much the same thing Shane said. He can give anyone in the league buckets. I think he's a very highly disrespected player. I mean, he didn't even make the All-Star team this year, and he was an All-NBA player the year before. It's kind of like the same thing with Damian Lillard, like the years prior. Wouldn't make All-Star teams, but then he'd make the second-team All-NBA and bring the Blazers to the second round of the playoffs while making buzzer-beater shots in the playoffs to advance them. I think it's the same kind of thing with Bradley Beal. Hopefully that man either gets paid by Washington or he leaves there and he gets to play on a team that gets a little more spotlight so people can really understand how good of a player he is. But I got Bradley Beal at 14.
At 14, I got a guy that can be much higher on this list if his team wasn't, I guess, so bad. But That guy's Trey Young. That might come to a surprise for you guys, but he's the third high scorer in the league right now, and he is second in assists. Obviously, was an all-star starter this season. But yeah, like I said, he can be much higher on this list. His team is just not good. I mean, that's not really his fault either, but he's playing out of his mind.
It's true. Trey's a great player. I just think it's tough having him, in the top 15. I don't think this is necessarily his fault. They're not having the success they are, but at the end of the day, it's the same thing with Anthony Towns. We've got a young superstar that's just not winning games. One day they're going to be in the top 15, but right now I just, it's so tough.
Cat's a little bit different because he's been in the NBA for what, like 5 years now? I mean, this is Trey Young.
That's true. Yeah. Trey Young should be in it, if not this year, next year. I mean, he's playing.
The guy's calling. He's played with Wiggins. I mean, Wiggins is a solid player. Jimmy Butler is a top 15 player, I'd say most people would say. He's played with some good vets, like guys like Taj Gibson, who are just good role players. And, I mean, he's made the playoffs once as an 8 seed, and basically the only reason they went there is because Jimmy Butler was on the team that year.
100%. Yeah, I agree. I think Trey Young's a good pick, though.
I think Trey Young's good, yeah.
What do you have at 14, Steve? Did you already say it?
14, I got, speaking of the devil, Jimmy Butler. I feel like Jimmy's tough. We're in a league full of, high-volume scorers, and Jimmy's an old-school basketball player. 20 a game doesn't sound like a lot, but that's a guy that's the leader on a good Miami Heat team that can compete with anybody in the playoffs. That's the thing. We got a great defensive team in the Miami Heat. They're young and up-and-coming, and Jimmy Butler's the perfect role in that team. So for me at 14, it's tough. I feel like he could be higher, but it's so hard when you have so many great guards in the league today that somebody like Jimmy Butler, who's a great two-way player, might not get the respect he deserves. But I don't know. I got him at 14. I think 15 is also fair too, or any higher than that. It's tough to put him somewhere.
All right. At 13, I have a guy we pretty much already talked about. I put Trey Young here. The fact that this is his second year and he's pretty much averaging 30, just a little below 4 and 9. I fully expect him to be the best, if not second best point guard in the league in just a couple of years. I think that can happen once he cuts down on turnovers. He's up pretty high in the league on turnovers, and then he'll also chuck up threes, kind of like a young Curry, where it's not the best shot, and sometimes they'll go in and it'll be on SportsCenter. The other times he'll miss. But yeah, I got him at 13. Obviously, team success isn't there yet, but the Hawks are young. I feel like this Hawks team, if they keep it together, they'll all grow and could be an 8 seed. They definitely need another big name on that team to help out, but they could be there in a couple of years.
Yeah, my 13 guy is Trey Young too, pretty much for all the same reasons. I think all the fears people had of him when he came out of college was that he was a little turnover happy and this and that. He didn't win enough at Oklahoma. They sucked down at the end of the regular season. But I think he's kind of silenced everyone in those respects. And I think him and John Collins and Reddish and Hunter, if Reddish can develop into a little bit more of a, because going into college, Reddish was projected by some to be the best player in their class. And he's kind of, I don't think going to Duke was the best thing for him. And I think that's kind of hurt him in the NBA. But playing with guys like Trey Young, I mean, Trey can make anyone better. And I think the Hawks have the pieces. They just got to play more together.
At 13, I got a guy we already talked about. That's Jimmy Butler. He's been a great fit for the Miami Heat. Team success is there. They're the 4th seed in the East right now, I think.
Yeah.
But he's putting up solid numbers. He's very underrated defender, and I don't know. I feel like he's having a really good season, so I got to put him at 13.
Yeah, no, that's a good spot for Jimmy. I think this for me. I was trying to find a giveaway in the top 10. I couldn't find myself. But at 13, something we already talked about a little bit, just Bradley Beal. Just blatantly, how the fuck do you have a guy that averages 30 points a game on the All-Star team? Honestly, imagine this is 2006, right? You got fucking 11 good basketball players in the league, and he averages 30 points a game. That dude might be looked at the next T-Mac then. But right now, it's such a high-volume league, averaging 30 points a game, people forget you even exist. Yeah. He's a great defender, too. He shoots 45% from the field. And on a Wizards team that probably couldn't win 5 games if he wasn't on it. That team's horrendous. So you got Bradley. To me, he's got to be in the top 15 this year, at least. And the fact that he wasn't an all-star shows that it's a fucking joke. You got guys like Chris Middleton that couldn't fucking touch a floor with Bradley Beal at the same time, and I'd be on this nearly close to the same level of skill, but they're making the all-star team because, the Bucks are good. Bradley Beal got suspected this year, but, I think guys like us actually pay attention to the fucking sport will see that Bradley Beal is a stud.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's definitely highly disrespected. That's why I have him at 12. It's literally insane that he didn't make the All-Star game. I think he's the best shooting guard in the East. I don't know how Chris Middleton even made the All-Star game, but whatever. Obviously lacks team success, but like Steve said, if he wasn't on that team might not have more than 10 wins. I think he should leave, like go chase the bag elsewhere. I don't really know where I would put him on another team, like which team would use him best, but literally just anywhere except Washington. So, yeah, I got him at 12.
All right, so my 12th player is another guy we talked about, Jimmy, down in Miami, playing like a dog like he always does. Crazy motherfucker. He brings that intensity, kind of like the same level, not the same level, but, similar to what KG would bring to whoever he played for. He's a dog. He wants to win, and he's showing it. He's showing it in Miami. That's why Jimmy's 12.
At 12, here's a guy we haven't talked about yet, but I got Jokic at 12.
The Nuggets, the 3 seed in the West. He's having a solid season, averaging about 20 and 10, but it's his passing that continues to impress me for a center, averaging about 7 assists per game. Nuggets are doing really well. So I put him there.
Yeah, I mean, Jokic's tough. He's a great player on a great team. The Nuggets got a bunch of good guys. And I think that's a good spot for him. For me, I don't know how you guys can feel about this one, but I try to put this player before I started the list, before I started doing research. He's in my top 7. Now I was at 12. Paul George. So before today, I'm thinking Paul George, superstar, right? You got the Lakers and the Clippers. Got 4 superstars out there. You got Paul George, who's an absolute stud. And I'm thinking of the guy we grew up watching Indiana, going fighting LeBron in the Eastern Conference Finals, toe-to-toe. And then I found out today that the Clippers are below 500 team when Kawhi Leonard's on the floor. So that sat with me for a second. If we don't have Kawhi Leonard, the Clippers aren't making the playoffs.
Well, Paul George has also been hurt this year. I don't even have him. He's not anywhere on my list.
Yeah, I don't have Paul George on my list
I
either.
think he's been hurt a lot this year. Because last year on Oklahoma City, he was a stud.
Yes.
He was. And he's an elite defender.
Yeah.
Great shooter. But
I don't have any issue with him at 12. Like, that's –
No, I just feel like he is somebody that I agree, the injuries have been running this year. I actually don't know. I didn't check how many games he played, to be honest with you. But I was just looking into him just to see, because I thought this is a guy that has, deserves to be a top 10.
Oh, yeah, no. Paul George is a stud.
And he's a stud, but this season.
Yeah.
He
hasn't been good.
He could do some in the playoffs, but right now, it's just.
I agree with that.
But yeah, I got him at 12.
All right. Well, Paul George didn't make my list, but he was definitely another guy I was considering with
He's like KD and Steph. Like, I think if he played more games, he'd easily get on any list, but I just don't think he played enough this year.
Yeah, he's having a solid season. All right, at 11, I don't know if I hope other people would have him. I have Jason Tatum, 24, 7, and 3. He's blossomed into a star, especially during the second half of the year, which was sadly cut short. Since February 1st, he's had 3 games of 32, 2 games of 33, game of 36, 39, and then 41. He's definitely a few years away from winning an MVP. He's got to mature. But if he can average games like that throughout the whole season, he didn't have the best start to the first half of his year. If he can get the assist up and be like a 28, 8, and 5 guy, he'll definitely get some votes for MVP later in his career. And but we'll see. That'll come with time.
All right, so my 11 is Jokic. He's probably one of the more interesting players in the NBA. He loses weight, gains it back. At the beginning of the year, people were calling him fat, and then at the end, you'd see. And then at the end of the Portland series last year, he looked like a bean. He's a different type of center. I hope that there's going to be more guys like him that come in the NBA because he's fun to watch. And the Nuggets are good. He pretty much single-handedly resurrected the Nuggets organization with like Jamal Murray and a couple other guys. But he's their guy and he's a stud. So Jokic is easily he's easily 11. Could probably sneak him into the top 10, but I have him at 11.
At 11, I got Donovan Mitchell. Not much to say here. He's having a solid season. He's averaging 24, 4, and 4. And the team success is there. The Jazz, fourth seed in the West. It was tough putting him above Jokic, but I had to do it. I just think he's having a really solid season once again.
He is. Well, for me at 11, I don't know if you guys even have this guy on your list or if he's just a miss. I won't be surprised if he didn't. But I got a couple guys where I say credit is due, where credit is due, and CP3 is at 11 for me. You look at a team like the Thunder, that are middle pack Western Conference team, and I was listening to A. Woj pod over the summer. It's a great podcast, and they were talking about how when he went to when Chris Paul already got traded, people thought his career was over around the NBA. Like, this is where he's going to go to the Thunder, and he's either going to try to get away from there, like a team like the Heat, or his career is going to die. And you look at a guy, Chris Paul, who's always been an all-NBA caliber player, but it's just there's so many good guards in the league, he kind of gets overlooked sometimes. But he goes to this Oklahoma City team, and they're a middle pack playoff team. Not a lot of people are talking about the Thunder. They don't even have to get out of the first round. People were expecting them to be a 10, 11 seed. Nobody thought when Chris Paul goes to the Thunder, that's going to be a top 6 team in the West.
The Thunder went from losing Russell Westbrook and Paul George to getting CP3 and Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. Now they're pretty much in the same spot this year that they were last year.
Yeah, and they might even
forgot about CP3. I think he's an all-star this year too.
Yeah, and for me, it's like, he's towards the end of his career, but at the same time, the season he's having is top 15 to me.
If he was on a team like a contender, if he was still in LA on the Clippers, or if he was on the Lakers or the Celtics or anyone like that, people would be talking about him like,
yeah, 100%.
But he's not. But he's still playing super good this year. I don't disagree with that whatsoever. I forgot about CP3.
I forgot about him.
I think it's an easy guy to forget about because the media they don't talk about him enough.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
Yeah, CP did not make my list, but I mean, obviously, is still, I would say, top 25. I don't have him near my top 15 just because I feel like there's players I'd want on my team right now ahead of him. But, I mean, if you look at what he did in the All-Star game, he had 23 and 6. So, I mean, he's still one of the best of the best. But then we'll move on to 10. I hope you guys all have this guy. I have Siakam at 10. Once again, he's another nominee for most improved, 24, 7, and 3. If the Bucks weren't going off this season, it'd be an even closer race for the 1 seed. When Kawhi left, I'll include myself in this. I thought the Raptors were going to not fall off a cliff, but definitely decline. I was thinking maybe 5, 6, or 7 seed, but the fact that they're pretty securely in 2, the Celtics are kind of creeping up, but they're 2 seed right now. I got to respect what him, Lowry, and Nick Nurse are doing this year. And yeah, I expect him to go far in the playoffs. So I got Siakam at 10.
My 10th guy is Tatum. I watch a lot of Celtics games because my dad and brother are Celtics fans, and I've never been a huge Tatum guy. Like at Duke, I couldn't stand him. Even when his first couple years in the NBA, I just think his game really evolved this year because if he played in like the early 2000s, like his mid-range game is elite. He can get to the basket. I think he's starting to find his role a little better. He's not taking like contested pull-up jumpers with 20 seconds left on the shot clock. I think he's starting to learn what his strengths are a lot more. And I mean, he's a first-time All-Star this year. Got to give credit where credit's due. Tatum took a big step this year, and I think he's deservedly the 10th best player in the NBA.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, Gibby. I got Jason Tatum at my 10 spot as well. He's having a very solid season. Like you said, he took a huge leap forward. He's a star right now, and he's a guy that I think is going to be a superstar in the future. He's averaging close to 24 points. He's a fantastic scorer. Celtics are the three seed in the East. He's really stepping up this year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's funny. I got Tatum at 10 too. I think that I completely agree with everything you guys said. Just to keep it short, a couple stats that I found out when I was looking into him a little bit more, because I had him 11 and 12, and I saw that there's not another player in the league that averages close to 24, or I'm going to just say over 22 a game, shooting 45% from the field, that doesn't have 3 teammates also averaging 16 over a game. So you think Gordon Hayward, Jaylen Brown, Kemba all average over 16 or more a game. And you think about that, you're looking at a deep team there. Just a starting lineup that everyone's getting the ball, everyone's taking shots. So it's not like Tatum is just he's probably going to lead the box score a lot of times, but he's not going to get the shots that guys like Harden or LeBron or all these guys are getting shots for. So I think for me that's just so impressive. And this statistic, he got hot as of late when Kemba Hayward was out. Kemba or Jaylen Brown were out within the last 2 months, was averaging 34 games. So that's a young superstar. So
if it wasn't for the last couple months before the season got cut short, he probably wouldn't be in my top He might be like 14, 15, but the way he was playing before the season went on hiatus, he was balling. So he's
100%.
deservedly where he is.
Yes.
All right, we'll move on to 9. I feel like this guy has been having a quietly amazing year because although his slow start, I think his second half is pretty much tied with Tatum for best second half so far. I got Russell Westbrook. He's giving you 28, 8, and 7. Doesn't have as many triple doubles, but obviously he's teamed up with Harden now, who also loves the triple doubles. So not going to see that much, but the fact that he's pretty close to averaging one is pretty elite. When February came, Harden kind of, I wouldn't say fell off a cliff, but he went from averaging his 34. He started averaging 28 in February. He started shooting like 35% in games, 20% from 3 in games. So right now they're at the 6th seed, and if Westbrook hadn't stepped up, he could have fallen. Or if Harden had played a little better, they could have risen because that 7 through 4 seed is all one game in the West. A win will move you up, a loss will move you down. So I got Westbrook at 9.
Good take.
My 9's Siakam. Again, he's a good player. I mean, I think he's the guy in the Raptors. I don't care what people say. He's their best player. I don't really think it's close. I mean, Lowry's had a solid season, but fuck that guy, that fat fuck. Siakam, but again, Siakam, like Tim said, is definitely a candidate for most improved player again this year. And the Raptors are good again, so props to him.
No.
At number 9, I'm right there with you, Tim. I got Russell Westbrook. Here's a guy, that everyone loves to hate, but the fact of the matter is that numbers don't lie. And once again, he's putting up fantastic numbers. Like you said, 28, 8, and 7. The Rockets are playing well. He's been a pretty good fit for them, I would say, and he's having an underrated season.
Yeah, no, I think a definitely good fit. I think, it's funny because I also have Westbrook at 9. I think people, I agree with Tim, people aren't talking about it enough. I think something that we can all address is that when Westbrook was getting towards the end of his days as the main option in OKC, his efficiency went down a little bit just because he was just chucking threes. And Westbrook is like not that he's not had hot spots in different games and stuff, but he's not a 3-point shooter.
Yeah.
That's just not his game. He goes to Houston, they start moving the ball a little better. First he's chucking again, then he starts getting into his own zone. Shooting 48% from the field this year. That's very impressive while averaging 28 a game. And his amount of attempts on 3-pointers have just gone down as the season's going on month by month. So you're seeing him fed into his role better of distributing the ball and attacking the basket. And, I think that's a great spot for him at 9.
Doing what he's good at.
Yeah.
All right. Everyone said they're 9.
Yep.
All right. My 8, some people had this guy a little lower on their list. I have Jokic here. This season in particular is the number 1 center in the league since Embiid kind of fell off. Triple-double machine, 20, 10, and 7 a night. Recently he's been kind of running point guard, or at least bringing the ball up, whatever you want to say, because his passing is absolutely insane. And he's got the Nuggets contending. They're at the 3 seed right now. Their matchup right now would be the Rockets. That'd be a matchup I wouldn't really want if I were a Nuggets fan. I don't know. I would try to catch the Clippers because then you get the Mavs first round. But Nuggets are playing well, and I think Jokic is the main reason.
Yeah.
So for my 8 guy, he's probably a little higher in people's lists, but I have Anthony Davis. He's probably, I think in my opinion, he's the best big man in the league, power forward center. He's the perfect complement to LeBron. The Lakers are good again, and it's, the big part of it is because of how well LeBron and Anthony Davis have gelled together this year. And I think he's showing, again, why he is the best big man in the NBA and why he's one of the most versatile players in the NBA, because he can step out and shoot, and he can also guard anybody on the court, catch lobs, rebound. He does everything. So Anthony Davis is my number 8.
Number 8, I went with Pascal Siakam. He's having a fantastic season, averaging about 24 and 8. And with the absence of Kawhi Leonard, he's just really stepped up. And I don't think many people expected the Raptors to be doing as well as they're doing right now. That's the main reason I put him this high up on my list at number 8, because the Raptors are the 2 seed in the East. And you Celtics fans, I don't think you guys expected that at all. So
No. No, I completely agree. I've Siakam at 8 too. I think Siakam. If you were to tell me that Pascal Siakam may have a better season than Jason Tatum this year, I would probably try to shoot you in the preseason. I wouldn't take that take at all. I would argue till forever. But I agree. Pascal Siakam's an 8 for me, and that's kind of, you know what, for him it's, my eyes are, if you take a guy off a team and they go from a 2 seed to just barely, I don't think they could touch a 7 seed. I think it'd be fighting for an 8 seed without Pascal Siakam right now. You don't have another superstar on that team. You know, they have a good team overall and a decent coach, but like, you know, he's filling that role that Kawhi had last year. While he might not be nearly as good, he's filling a superstar role for them. And geez, the Raptors fans are just getting lucky lately. The fact that they can have Kawhi leave and still be this good is it's crazy.
It's been great.
We'll move on to 7. I got James Harden. I think this is a very weird season for him.
Yeah.
He's giving you 34, 6 and 7, yet his shooting has been the reason he's not really that MVP in the MVP conversation. I think he should be an MVP contender, but it's basically a 3-man race between LeBron, Giannis, and Luka. So if he had some better games in this February stretch, they'd probably be a top 4 seed right now. But if you look at the way they began March, I guess, with their first 5 games, they went 1-4. They lost to the Magic, they lost to the Knicks, they lost to the Hornets. So those are just bad games. And if you look at the stat sheet, it was basically because Harden was chucking 20, 25 shots a game, not shooting that well. And so I think he's going to step up during playoff times because that's when they obviously need him. But right now I got him at 7. I just think the 6 guys I got ahead of him are been playing better in the regular season.
All right, so I have James Harden at 7 too, and similar to what Tim said, he's still scoring. I mean, he's probably the most creative scorer in the NBA. He's taken the NBA rules and have like bended them to where he can get fouled whenever he wants, or he can shoot whenever he wants. He can score any way possible. I think again, the reason why he's 7 is because he kind of was on a cold patch before the season, that put on hiatus, but he's still going to score 25 points a game, whether you like it or not, whether it's from 20 free throws or 10 free throws and shooting, you know, making 5 threes. He's going to score his points. He's going to get his points. And in the playoffs, when you have a duo like Russ and Harden, who can one game just take over both of them at the same time and they can score 80 points between the two in a game, that's a scary team to see in the playoffs. So Harden's 7 for me.
At 7, I got Damian Lillard. He's having one of the better seasons of his entire career, to be honest. He's averaging close to 30 points, 8 assists. But the team success isn't there. The Trailblazers they're underachieving. They're not in the playoffs as of right now. But I don't know. He's having a great season. He went on a tear for I don't know how many games in a row. He was scoring in the 50s. If I'm thinking of it right, but
no, you're right.
He's a guy that could be higher up on my list, but the team success just isn't there for me to put him any higher than 8.
I agree. I have Dame at 7. I think the tough thing about it that I'm not necessarily bailing him out for because they're still losing games when Dame's in the court is that the injuries have ridden the Blazers like crazy this year between Nurkic and CJ missing some time and just even some of the role players. I think if Dame had a healthy team, you're looking at like in the pack Western Conference team. It's tough for me to put somebody like Dame ahead of somebody like Harden when even while Harden has his flaws, I think Dame's a better two-way player. You know, Harden this year, people now the MVP conversation in 34 games. You know, like while the way he scores might not be the most fun to watch it sometimes, other times he just lights it up. But like at the end of the day, if you put up 34 game for your team, yeah, the only thing that I think this whole Harden back the 7 is, you know, I don't know about that, but like the fact that you can rank him a little bit lower is just the fact that
I got Harden
winning. You know,
Yeah.
much better.
I think that's kind of the GM's fault, though, to be honest with you. The fact that you trade away Clint Capella, not sure how that moves out. Like they were hot without him just for the beginning, but you don't have a guy over 6'7" in the starting lineup. He won't play Lakers in the playoffs. He won't win a game.
Yeah.
I feel like with my list, like 10 through 5 are all interchangeable. Like there's nothing.
I agree.
Harden
I think. I would say Jason Tatum is definitely like he can't. I wouldn't put him over anybody else. But I think he's stuck at 10. But I think my 9 through 5, you can swap them anywhere.
That's fair.
Be
I
a
agree with
fair
that.
placement for him.
Because my 6 is Lillard, so Harden and Lillard, I feel like could be interchangeable. I've loved watching Lillard play, and like Shane said, it was a streak of 6 games in late January and the first game of February where he averaged 48 a game, clutch
Unreal.
shot after clutch shot.
Yeah, he averaged 33 in the new year.
Yeah. So it's been weird that they haven't been as good. There was a point in time where they lost 5 in a row games to the Suns and Knicks, which, like, if you want to be a playoff team, especially in the West, you got to beat these low caliber teams. So if the year starts back up right now, they're sitting at the 9 seed. They're 6 games back of the Grizzlies, 3.5 games back of the Grizzlies, excuse me, which isn't ideal. I want to see Ja in the playoffs, but I also want to see Lillard. So it's been tough as a fan, but whoever makes it, makes it. Lillard's definitely worthy of leading his team back there. But obviously, if he gets back to the 8 seed, it's pretty impossible to catch the Mavs. So they'd have to play the Lakers first round, so that might be a first-round exit. But if Lillard can get there, it'd be interesting. So I got him at 6.
Yeah, my 6 is Russ. The reason I have him above Harden is just how they were both playing of late. I think you can, like, they're interchangeable, but Russ was playing better before the season got canceled on break. Russ is Russ. He's going to do what he wants. He's the Brody. He's not a cupcake. He's not a snake. He plays hard. And everywhere he goes, the fans will fall in love with him. And that's why he's number 6.
6, I got Luka Doncic. It's only this kid's second year, and he's already a superstar. I think he's one of the best players in the league already. He's putting up ridiculous numbers. He's averaging close to a triple-double right now with 29 points. And the team success, it's getting there. They're 7 seed right now. But yeah, he's been phenomenal. He definitely could have been higher on my list, but I think 6 is a pretty good spot for him.
Yeah, I agree with 6. That's where I got Luka too. I got Luka at 6. In my opinion, I'm a big Celtics fan, and I like watching a lot of hardwood classics and '86 season and that team. And I think the closest thing we've ever seen to a prime Larry Bird, Luka Doncic. I'm not even just saying that because he's like the way he plays his game is so smooth. He might not be the most athletic guy in the court, but he's got control of the ball. The ball's on the string at all times. One of the best passers in the league. Easily one of the best scorers in the league. To me, it just comes down to a guy that he's this young and he's this good. It's scary. It's like that Giannis type of thing. When you're this young and this good, we're gonna be watching this guy for 10 plus years dominate the NBA. So I got him at 6.
Well, the thing with Luka too is that he's been a professional for so much longer. I mean, he was the EuroLeague MVP, which is like the AAA of the NBA when he was like 17.
Yeah,
that's true.
So he's been in the spotlight his whole life, and now he's just finally in America showing off how good he is.
True.
Yeah, I got Luka a little higher, but at 5, I have Anthony Davis. Another monster season of 27, 9, and 3. He's still young, but I'm just waiting for that MVP season. I don't think it's going to come when he's on the Lakers playing with such a ball-dominant guy in LeBron. So I think this offseason, Anthony Davis could move. I don't think he will move, but I'm just waiting for that season where he has like 30, 12, and 4 for him to win the MVP. He's still got time, though. So obviously a huge part of the Lakers' success. Title contenders and the favorites. The only team I see really giving them a shot is the Clippers until they get to the finals where they might meet the Bucks or someone like that. So could be an easy path until the Western Conference Finals for the Lakers. So I got AD at 5.
All right, so my 5 is my guy Dame Lillard. Just like everyone said, the Blazers have been bitten by the injury bug this year. Within the first week, they lost Rodney Hood to the whole season, and he was supposed to be a big part of them this year because they let guys like Evan Turner walk in the offseason last year and a couple other, like small forward shooting guard type guys. They've had to play a lot of different lineups with Nurkic being hurt and Zach Collins being hurt as well. They traded for Whiteside, and Whiteside is having a good, another good year like he always does. But Lillard, I mean, without him, they probably would have only won like 10 games this year. He went on that tear in the end of January, and the reason why I have him at 5 is because two things. One, if the Blazers were good, he'd be easily in discussion for the MVP, and the other reason is that the first game back after Kobe died in LA, I mean, he scored like 40-something points, and the Blazers beat the Lakers, which was like probably the Lakers' most important game of the year. And he absolutely dominated that game when everyone thought that like LeBron was going to score 100 points, and the
I
Lakers
think
were
that
going to
12 point
points. So that's why I have Dame at 5. I think that the Lakers games are like it's almost like that's like the staple of why he's my number 5 player.
We got 5, King.
5 comes James Harden. In my opinion, he's having an extremely underappreciated season. The fact doesn't matter is that he's averaging 35 points, and which is obviously leading the league. But he's not just scoring; he's still getting in his rebounds and assists. I think he's around 6 or 7 in each of those categories. The Rockets are playing solid. They got the 6th seed right now. I do think he slowed down towards the second half of the season, but Westbrook was there to pick him up a little bit. But yeah, he's having an extremely underappreciated season in my opinion.
Yep, me and Shane agree on 5. I got James Harden there. I just think that if James Harden and Russell Westbrook found a way to make the finals this year or next year, I think they both find a way into my top 5. Both of those guys are superstars. They'll be guys we're going to tell our kids about, but at the same time, without a next level player, I just think they're both those. I think we all agreed on this now that we've all had them between 5 and 10 is that both of those guys aren't on the level of these top 5 guys we have. I just don't think if you add one of those players to that team, they might be able to make the finals. But let's see what Russell. Let's see if they can make any noise in the playoffs. But 6 is a little disappointing so far. But then again, I don't think that's entirely their fault. I think between Daryl Morey and Mike D'Antoni, all the experimenting they're doing that team is just it's ridiculous.
Stupid.
It is.
Like
Harden over the last 3 years before this year, if it wasn't for the Warriors having Kevin Durant, Klay Thompson, and Steph Curry in the prime of their careers, they would have made the finals one year. And they should have made the finals the first year that CP3 was on the Rockets, too. They kind of choked away that series.
They did. They're up 3-2, 10 points at halftime in Game 6 at home.
Yep.
But it happens. I mean, they're still both superstars, and they'll both be first ballot Hall of Famers. But if they can get that ring, I mean, it just brings them up another level.
100%.
It does. I want Westbrook to get a ring so bad.
I want him to get a ring, too.
Yeah.
I love Westbrook. He deserves it.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what the Rockets do if there is a playoffs. Obviously, that Nuggets first-round matchup might be tough. Honestly, I think they would win that series in a long one, 6 or 7, but we'll see what happens.
They would smack Nuggets, but yes, you're right.
I think it would be close just because Nuggets
move the ball. But
Nuggets are do very well at home, and they would have home court advantage. At 4, I almost put Luka at 5 and put AD at 4, but I have Luka at 4. Triple-double machine. If it weren't for Luka taking this big second-year step, I feel like Trae Young would get looked at like even more. But Luka took a bigger step than Trae did in his second year. He's 29, 9-9, 7th seed in the West. Obviously interchangeable. They're all like 7 through 4 is just one game apart. So basically, top 4 seed, I guess. He definitely became a top 5 player like early on in the season, I feel like. But there are a couple games, which is why I don't have him at 3, where he showed his youthness because he had a game where he shot like 25% or multiple games. He's just got to get a little more consistent before he really jumps up. I think he'll win an MVP either next year or 2 years from now. And then hopefully he stays with the Mavs. I'd love for him to have a Dirk-like career and give Dirk a run for his money on being the best Maverick of all time. But we'll see where he goes.
All right, so for my number 4, I got the fun guy, Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi's had another Kawhi year. Plays the best defense in the NBA. Gets his buckets. Plays on one of the best teams in the NBA. The Clippers are now giving the Lakers a run for their money for LA. Kawhi's a stud. If it wasn't for the whole load management thing, which I don't really care about, but, I mean, not playing as many games as some of the 3 guys I have above him, is probably the main reason why he's 4. But my 4 through 2, you could probably interchange. But Kawhi's Kawhi. He's going to do his thing, and that's why he's number 4.
Mm-hmm. Number 4, I got Anthony Davis. you know, people question how he'd play alongside LeBron, but they've been playing fantastic together, as we all know. Lakers, second seed in the West. AD's averaging 27 points, close to 10 rebounds. But that's not exactly why I put him here. I put AD at 4 because his defense has been fantastic this season. He very well may be the defensive player of the year.
True.
And his team is doing great. Honestly, my championship pick. But, yeah.
Yeah, I got the same pick as Shane yet again. I got 80 at 4. I think he's the most dominant interior force we've seen since Shaq in his prime. I don't think we've seen a big man as good as and talented as him between now and then. And that includes Dwight Howard. I think with AD, I think if AD came to this Lakers team a couple more, like 2 years earlier, when everybody started talking about it, the discussions came up, was either the Lakers or the Celtics, or where is AD going to go? I think that they could give guys like Kobe and Shaq run for the money. Just the fact that LeBron's 35, makes it tougher. But if he was younger, I think honestly that if this duo had more time, I think they could finish a top 3 duo of all time. And even, who knows? LeBron's LeBron. Maybe they have enough time, but I got him at 4, so I agree with Shane.
All right. At 3, I feel like 1 through 3, this whole season they all like jumped in between who was the best and all that. But at 3, I got Kawhi. I kind of wanted to put LeBron here, but I value the fact that the Lakers are the better team. Kawhi's averaging 27, 7 and 5, 2 blocks and steal a game. I think it's clear he would be the reason the Clippers were to beat the Lakers. Although PG would need to step up in the playoffs, which he hasn't really done as of recently, especially with OKC. He wasn't what they really expected him to be. So I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Kawhi hoist the trophy if we have a playoffs. But right now I think the Lakers are the better team, so it'd be interesting to see.
At my 3, I got Luka. If it wasn't for Luka, the Mavs definitely aren't a playoff team. And Luka's showing everyone, like I said earlier, why he's one of the best players in the world. And, I mean, how old is he, like 20?
Yeah.
And he'll be in the NBA for 15-plus more years and make 15 more All-Star games, win a couple MVPs, and probably win a championship in Dallas if they can put the right guys around him. But Luka, like Steve said, is probably the closest thing that I've ever seen to a prime Larry Bird. And the way he plays basketball is like watching I don't know how to describe it. It's like watching an infielder like Javi Baez work. It's like poetry in motion, watching guys that are so smooth like them.
It's true.
It's just beautiful to watch. That's why he's my 3rd guy.
Number 3, I got, like you said, give the fun guy, Kawhi Leonard. Not much to say here. He continues to be great. He's not only an elite scorer, he's an elite defender. He's a total superstar, and he proved it last season with the Raptors, and he's been proving it this season with the Clippers. Yeah, that's about it.
For me at 3, I think I guess I'm the only one with this take, but I think head-to-head matchups are very important. And I think this was more of an even head-to-head matchup than one of the more even head-to-head matchups you can get. I'd be honest at 3. I looked at my big thing is last year. Milwaukee goes up 2-0, Eastern Conference Finals. Stephen A. Smith, everybody, the series is over. This Milwaukee team is legit. This is why they won so many games regular season. Giannis is MVP. Giannis is up next. That. If you develop the 3-point shot, I think they'd be right. I think they would have won that series. I think that the spacing issues wouldn't have been a problem. I think Giannis gets away with it more than a guy like Ben Simmons because Giannis is not – I'm sorry I said them in the same sentence. Ben Simmons doesn't deserve to be talked about here.
Not at all.
But Giannis, it's tough. I don't blame the guys put him for 2. I think you put him at a 1, it's a stretch. But to me, head-to-head matchups, Kawhi wins that in 6 games, goes to the finals, he gets himself a championship. Who knows? With those injuries in the Warriors, if Giannis delivers, he might have a ring right now. So yeah. I think that's why I got him at 3. But I don't blame the guys for having him any higher.
All right, at 2, I do probably have most people's number 1. I have LeBron at 2, which might get some people mad. Again, team success is why I have him above Kawhi. Best team in the West. 49 wins, still having highlight plays at 36, which is literally unreal. Shooting 50% from the field, 35 from 3, which we know he's not 3-point shooter, so that's very good for him. 26, 11, and 8, leads the league in assists by a wide margin, not even close to Trae Young. I think if we get this second half back, I think there's about 20 to 22 games. LeBron could definitely still snag the MVP, but once again, I don't really think he cares about the regular season. You don't see him. This is just a regular season list. If this was playoffs, I'd put LeBron at 1, but he'll obviously turn it on. But right now I got him at number 2.
Yeah, my 2, I have the Greek freak, Giannis. There's nothing really to be said. He's one of the most freakish athletes that's ever touched a court or played a professional sport. He's 7 feet tall, dribbles the ball like a point guard, and is as aggressive as any player in the NBA. He guards, he scores in a variety of different manners without really having a 3-point shot, which is impressive. The Bucks are the best team in the East, but he's not better than old GOAT James, so that's why he's number 2.
Number 2, and this might come to a surprise for you guys because he is my favorite player, but I had to put LeBron at number 2 for this season. You can easily make the argument that he is the MVP of the season. He has shown no sign of slowing down. And I don't think I need to explain anymore just how great he is. The Lakers they're the second seed in the – oh, no, they're the 1 seed in the West, right?
Yeah, they're the 1 seed. That's
They
right.
have the second best record in the NBA.
Yeah, that's what I meant to say. They're the second best record in the league, 1 seed in the West. But I just couldn't put LeBron number 1. He's got to be number 2 for me this season.
That's where you're wrong. LeBron's at number 1. So don't even know how you could say that out of all people.
Season.
Yeah, no, you're still wrong. At 2, I have Kawhi. Like I said, I think all of our top 3s are the same. Kawhi is just – but I think in my eyes, him and AD the best defenders on the planet. Not much to say here. Complete. I think my biggest point here is I think Kawhi Leonard, RP Kobe Bryant, all-time, one of the GOATs of all time. But I think Kawhi Leonard, in my eyes, after Kobe, is the third generational player of Michael Jordan. I think it's the closest thing we've seen to that, where you have a scorer that's super athletic, the way he moves, the moves he has. It's very Kobe reminiscent and Jordan reminiscent between their defense, their shot selection, and it's just so fun to watch. And we all say we're all witnesses for LeBron, and we still are. Kawhi Leonard's just that guy. And my other hot take here is I think even when KD comes back, 100% or not, Kawhi Leonard's going to be at this 1 or 2 spot, and KD won't be. But that's just me. That's another discussion.
All right. At 1, obviously I have Giannis, definitely the clear MVP so far. We've only played 60 games. Definitely clear MVP so far. 30, 14, and 6 is just video game numbers pretty much. Most wins in the East, most wins in the league. Games with 37, 38 twice, 41, 48, 50. And he's doing this without a jump shot or a consistent jump shot at that. He's climbing up the all-time list already for me. He's going to win back-to-backs, MVPs. I see them going to the Eastern Conference Finals. Whether they can get to the finals or not is still to be told. But I think if they don't, then they really got to improve who's around him. Middleton I see as a very good third option, but first off shouldn't have been an all-star. Second off, he's definitely not that second option you want. Maybe Bradley Beal comes to the Hawks. I don't know how you'd afford him, but you definitely need a second option for Giannis. This 2020 free agency class is fairly weak. You have Draymond and Anthony Davis headlining it. And I don't think Anthony Davis is coming anywhere near the Bucks. But I don't see Giannis ever leaving the Bucks unless they trade him, because he's on record saying that he's not leaving Milwaukee until he wins a chip. So he's staying in Milwaukee unless he gets traded, which I don't think he should, where he can rack up 2 or 3 rings, and then we'll see what happens. But, yeah, I got him at number 1.
Yeah, my number 1 is the greatest basketball player that's ever touched a basketball, and that's LeBron James. The Lakers are winning the championship this year, and if there's a playoffs, the Lakers will win the championship this year. He was on an absolute mission after Kobe passed. Everything this year was going to be for Kobe and still will be for Kobe. And if there isn't a championship or a playoffs to be played, they took a ring away from the Lakers because they weren't losing to anybody. I think they played the Bucks towards one of the final 2 or 3 games. I'm not really sure before the season went on hiatus. And I know the Lakers won, and LeBron, again, just put another one of his dominant classic performance. I mean, there's nothing else to be said about LeBron. He's LeBron. He can basically he'll be 40 and he'll still be a top 2 player in the NBA. He's the king, he's the GOAT, and we're all still witnesses. So that's all I have to say about LeBron.
It's a fact.
My number one is going to shock all of you, but my number one is Alex Caruso, and let me tell you why. No, I'm just kidding. My number one is, of course, Giannis. He's having yet another MVP caliber season. Like Tim said, his numbers are just video game numbers. 30, 14, and 6 is ridiculous. His team has been fantastic. They got the best record in the league. If Giannis can fix that jump shot a little bit, the league should be on notice because
It's already on notice.
What do you mean you're on notice? You got him at 1. What are you going to move him up to?
I mean, if he gets a jump shot,
yeah. Then
if
he'll
he
be
gets a jump shot,
until then he'll stick at 3 for me.
if he gets a jump shot, he has potential to be the greatest basketball player of all time.
That's enough.
I have him in my top 50 right now, but yeah, if he gets a jumper, he will.
Yeah, he hasn't smelled the finals yet, but yeah, he's going to be top 50. I mean, he's probably top 50. He's like 7 feet tall, and he has head.
LeBron went to the finals with the second most player on his team is like Mo Williams and Anderson Varejao. I mean,
Come on now.
Giannis has way better guys around him.
Giannis is an all-star and a great coach and a great best bench in the league and can be
We're
Kawhi.
just talking about this season, right?
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
He's not better. He'll never be better than LeBron. LeBron's LeBron.
LeBron is the greatest player of all
All
time.
right, so at 1, I have the correct answer. It's King James, the one that Shane should have said, the guy that Shane has derided his entire life and he moved everywhere to the Lakers fan, Miami fan, Cleveland fan, no matter where he smells. That's where LeBron. But I'm still trying to get over the fact that I was expecting Tim to have Giannis one, but if Shane had it, I just can't.
I think it was obvious.
We're just talking about this season.
Yeah, I'm talking about this season and next season and the last 10 seasons and everything. Yeah, we're just talking about this season. It's the same thing as the last 10 years.
I mean, he's got a better record and he's got better stats. What else do you want?
I won.
Also in the East. In the East is a lot worse.
No, the East is probably better.
5 games. Dude,
Better record, better stats this season.
All right.
LeBron don't care about the regular season. It's obvious.
Yeah, that's why I put LeBron at 2 because LeBron isn't really trying right now. I got him at 2 because his stats just aren't really near Giannis's.
I don't care about stats. I care about watching basketball. And if I want to watch 100%. Basketball, I know LeBron's going to win.
If you're saying this whole stats and wins thing, then why was it when
Bradley Beal
had more stats than Curry?
Yeah.
I had Bradley Beal.
Shane, I want to hear this. If you say that it's a stats and wins more is why, then why is it when Curry had better stats and more wins than LeBron when he was in Golden State, and LeBron got the 4 seed in the East, that Curry wasn't better than him? But we both agreed that LeBron was much better.
What year was this?
What year?
Last year he was in Cleveland.
Cavaliers had the 4 seed, and
who did Curry have on his team with him?
MVP. Curry got second MVP, averaged 30 points a game.
And who did Curry have on his team with him?
And how was he not better then? Because if you're saying if it's stats and wins, then you would say Curry's a better player then. That's just me.
I just think Giannis is having a better season this year.
All right. I mean,
isn't that how we're doing it?
Yeah, but you're wrong.
I said I think LeBron's going to win it all. Right. I just think Giannis is having a better season.
Being the best player on the best team doesn't make him the best player in the NBA.
No, I agree with that. I agree. It's not just because he's the best player on the best team. That's why Curry got a free MVP when he averaged 23 points a game. People are like, oh, Curry was sick that season. Yeah, so was James Harden, averaged 30 a game. So was LeBron, averaging 28 a game. Oh, but no, Curry's first year, MVP player, 23 and 5. No, it's bullshit. Luka Doncic playing better than that this season.
Tim, I'm also not a big fan of that. You said this was an NBA and NFL podcast. I want to talk about baseball.
Oh yeah, we'll make it MLB. But for our fans out there, we don't know how many there are of you yet. I know there's gonna be a lot one day, but we will definitely be talking about all sports. Maybe not hockey. Hockey isn't really much of a sport, but
all right, that's disrespectful as fuck. Just because we don't pay attention to hockey.
Half our viewers from that one comment.
Hockey's a great sport. It's fun to watch.
I'm not very knowledgeable about hockey.
I just don't pay attention to it as much as I used to.
I know my Dallas Stars.
I will, if the playoffs do happen, I will watch the NHL playoffs. Because
I love the NHL playoffs.
Yeah. So no disrespect or shade to hockey.
No disrespect. But
No
hopefully,
disrespect, MLB has the best playoffs. I mean,
Yeah, all right. Thanks, Shane. Bad take number 2.
No. Shane's not wrong. The suspense that builds over a 7-game series, you could write it in a book and publish it and be a bestseller.
all right. Hopefully, we'll figure out how many we're gonna do a week. But now that we're in quarantine, I feel like we all have time. So, I mean, maybe we'll bring you one tomorrow. We're gonna upload this tonight. Hopefully, you see it. Make sure to subscribe for more. And I'll
Tarky,
post
I know
everyone's-
you're gonna end up watching this.
Yeah, we'll post everyone's
Shrimpy.
social media in the description. Make sure to
Tarky.
follow us.
Tarky.
And,
Tim, hold on. Tarky.
Yeah.
Tarky. You fucking suck at Madden. You better be on Mutt Squads tonight because we have a Super Bowl to win. And I swear to God, if you're not, you're cut from the team.
All right, that is it's a shout out our friend Tarky Lombardi. Make sure to follow him. We'll give him a shout out because we just came at his name. Yep. So we'll see you hopefully tomorrow. Everyone say goodbye.
Sports with Steve out.
sports with Steve.
Sports with Steve.
How about on this?
Oh wait, I gotta cancel the recording.